The United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense latest intelligence update on Ukraine, October 3, 2023. New polling by Russia's state-owned Russian Public Opinion Research Center, VCM, suggests the Kremlin is effectively weaponizing the foreign agent label to manipulate public opinion in support of the state's anti-Western pro-war narrative. On September 26, 2023, VCM reported 61% of Russians surveyed view those designated foreign agents as traitors spreading lies about Russia. The Kremlin has expanded the restrictive foreign agent laws since its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. These measures severely constrain the information space within Russia, making it increasingly difficult to express any viewpoint, including dissent about the war, that strays from the official line. The VCM poll underscores how the Kremlin is exploiting the foreign agent designation to vilify critics and solidify domestic support for its war against Ukraine. However, the poll results should be viewed with skepticism, given the lack of independent polling in Russia and the climate of fear and repression. Ukraine's Armed Forces General Staff Update. Day 587 of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine continues. Russia persists in violating international laws of war, utilizing terror tactics, and striking both military and civilian targets. On October 3, there were 26 engagements between Ukrainian and Russian forces. Russia also launched another strike on Ukraine using one Iskander-K cruise missile and 31 Iranian Shahed-136 and Shahed-131 kamikaze drones from the south, southeast, and north. Ukraine's air defenses shot down one Iskander-K and 29 Shahed drones. In total, Russia conducted 3 missile and 80 air strikes and 28 multiple launch rocket system attacks against Ukrainian positions and settlements. Tragically, Russian attacks killed and wounded more civilians. Residential buildings and infrastructure were damaged or destroyed. The situation in eastern and southern Ukraine remains active. In other areas, no major changes observed. Some Belarusian units continue operations near the Ukrainian border, but no signs of troop buildup for an offensive. Russia maintains forces along the border, shells border towns, and lays more mines. Airstrikes near key cities like Kupiansk and Lyman. Fierce fighting continues around Bakhmut and Avdiivka, with multiple unsuccessful Russian attacks repelled. Ukrainian forces continue counteroffensive operations near Melitopol and Bakhmut, inflicting personnel and equipment losses on Russian occupiers and exhausting them along the front lines. On October 3, Ukraine's Air Force conducted 13 airstrikes on Russian troop concentrations and 4 on anti-aircraft systems. Ukraine's missile forces struck 3 troop concentrations and 20 Russian artillery systems. The Institute for the Study of War Russian Offensive Campaign Assessment. In a telling move, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu singled out an odd assortment of units operating near Zaporizhia for praise during a conference call. Shoigu credited the 70th Guards Motorized Rifle Regiment, 56th Air Assault Regiment, 810th Naval Infantry Brigade, and 291st Guards Artillery Brigade for successful defensive operations around Robotyne and Verbov. Shoigu's spotlight on these specific formations likely indicates the defense minister wants to highlight commanders still following orders to launch relentless counterattacks per Kremlin directives. Notably absent from recognition were other units like the 108th and 247th Airborne Assault Regiments, who also maintained the Robotyne-Verbov line. This selective praise from Shoigu suggests Russia continues struggling with poor unit cohesion and flagging morale as the war drags on. Troop welfare remains low, with under-supported units thrown into pointless attacks along static front lines. Shoigu's overt recognition of units actively engaged in offensives could be an attempt to motivate other commanders towards similar aggression. However, Russia's continued reliance on depleted BTGs and patchwork units for advances underscores the reality that most formations are now focused on defense and survival rather than reckless attacks. The Institute for the Study of War key takeaways today. Shoigu's praise of specific units highlights those still following orders for relentless attacks despite low troop morale. Russia's defense ministry vocalized support for Chechen forces and Kadyrov amid controversies over ethnic tensions. Putin likely to minimize war discussion for his staged 2023 re-election campaign announcement expected in November. Per Reuters, Russia has embedded Storm Z squadrons within units to compel costly counterattacks against Ukrainian gains. Ukraine pressed forward with offensives around Bakhmut and western Zaporizhia. Overnight Russian strikes across Ukraine utilizing drones and missiles. Armenia ratified ICC Rome Statute, perhaps signaling openness to war crimes investigations. Russia claims advances along several fronts including Kupiansk, Bakhmut, and Zaporizhia after offensives. Russia's Federal Security Service, FSB, reportedly investigating Kursk governor over ties to deceased Wagner financier Prigozhin. Nearly half of senior occupation officials in seized Ukrainian territory are Russian implants per Verstka. Jake Broe update. The Kremlin claims Ukraine fatigue will grow after aid was dropped from the U.S. spending package. This appears to be Russia's strategy: hold on and wait for Western support for Ukraine to fade. However, there is overwhelming bipartisan support for Ukraine in Congress. Additional military and financial aid is expected to be approved in the coming weeks. Elon Musk tweeted an offensive meme mocking Zelensky's requests for aid. This led to backlash and accusations that Musk is supporting Russia. Ukrainian forces continue to make incremental gains. A Ukrainian unit liberated another 500 meters despite tough fighting. Russia is desperately throwing everything they have left to halt Ukraine's counteroffensive before winter sets in. September saw heavy Russian equipment losses, including nearly 1,000 artillery systems destroyed. Videos show low Russian morale, with soldiers complaining of poor conditions and lack of supplies. Ukraine struck the Russian city of Sochi with drones for the second time. Shipping traffic is resuming at the port of Odessa thanks to unblocking efforts. A Russian lieutenant defected to Ukraine along with 11 soldiers under his command. He denounced Putin as a murderer. Additionally, 4 Russian fighter pilots have now defected rather than participate in the war. No NATO pilots have defected to Russia. Russia continues to take heavy losses while Ukraine makes steady gains. Despite Kremlin propaganda efforts, Ukraine continues to defend its sovereignty.